Listen to the sound of footsteps in the dark, to voices that may not be quite human, to the sound of screams in the night. The Haunted Cabaret, the home of all things horror, on Rhode-IslandFreeRadio.org, with your host, George Garner. The Haunted Cabaret starts now.
Music is the food of love. Let's see if you're hungry enough. Take a bite, take another, just like a good boy would. Get a sweet thing on the side. Home cooking on the side. Side order could be a daughter. Make you looking good. Come on, baby. But the bite of the son of a bitch. Don't mess up, don't you give me no switch. Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Sitting down in a restaurant. Tell the waiter just what you want. Is that the meat you wanted to eat? How would you ever know? Hash browns and bacon strips. I love the way that you lick your lips. No fooling, I can see it drooling. Feel the hunger grow. Come on, baby, eat the rich. The bite of the son of a bitch. Don't mess up, don't you give me no switch. Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Come on, honey, here's your supper. Come on, baby, fight that sucker.
All right, that was Motorhead, Eat the Rich, kicking off this episode of the Haunted Cabaret here on Rhode Island Free Radio. I'm your host, George Garner. Across the table from me, Chuckles the Evil Clown.
Good evening to you.
At the controls, Tony Jones. And on the potato chip bag, my wife Jessica back there. That is not the rustle of something unspeakable in the night. That is potato chips, and I think she's doing it on purpose because you just finished that bag of potato chips, didn't you? Yeah, the potato chips are gone. So for this next hour, I get to starve with the memory of that crinkling potato chip bag
and the smell.
Well, let me tell you, if she didn't have that potato chip bag, the Jersey Devil might have been real inside of here, and I wasn't sticking around to save you on that part. Out that door I'd go.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as Chuckles just mentioned, well, one of our topics tonight, the main topic tonight, is the Jersey Devil.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Yep. Well, what we're doing here is we're carrying it. It's kind of like the old the Creature double features or the double movies at the drive-ins. You know, we're doing a bit of nostalgia here. Chuckles started off the Jersey Devil topic on the Chuckles Crypt, which just completed, so you want to go back and listen to that if you haven't already, or listen to it again. And we're going to continue it because we really only scratched the surface.
There's a lot to this story. We could go on for this for like a full week if we could. I mean, as little as people know about this character, there is that much more information about it.
Right.
And accounts and eyewitnesses. There's like pages of this stuff.
Right. And now I'm not going to go over too much of what we talked about on the Crypt because, you know, if you didn't listen to it already, you can go back and listen to it on podcast. But the main question is this Jersey Devil, is it a hoax? Is it something demonic? Is it some kind of natural creature, or some kind of mutation? Is it basically, if you know anyone familiar with that part of New Jersey, like I mentioned on the Crypt, plenty of inbred backwoods swamp-dwelling humans down there to create something of human origin that looks pretty repulsive. You know, to wander around the woods and kill people. So, I mean, take your choice. I mean, my personal theory, like I said, is that there was something. Well, you know, whatever its origin was, I think at one point there was something. It was probably some kind of mutated human that grew up in the woods, kind of like Chuckles, like I mentioned the the original Friday the 13th Part 2. You know, when Jason was that creature dwelling out in the woods in the shack.
Right.
That kind of mutated human being. I mean, that's what my own personal opinion of what the Jersey Devil was. Who was probably insane, killed animals, dressed up in the deer horns, dressed up in the furs, and probably wore goat skins. Maybe he worshipped Satan for all we know. But I think that's my opinion. So, which I think is hideous enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, everybody, take your choice. And like I said, I can't vouch for the fact that I have, traveled through that area of New Jersey. It is just as swampy, slimy, creepy looking, Lovecraftian, choose your adjective, as befits a place for some psychotic demon / human / freak, to be running around in. So, and it's big, right?
It's got to be pretty big. A lot of taking down humans and stuff.
Well, not only the creature, but its territory.
Well,
This isn't like it's in one little lake and we can look in it and say, okay, here it is or here it's not. It's a pretty. I said 100 square miles, but I'm not quite sure. We'd have to do a little research, and neither one of us is.
We got to get a new research girl.
Yeah, our research girl. The chair is empty.
Yeah, the other guy wasn't working.
No, he was.
No, we need another research girl.
Yeah, we have to capture one.
Yeah.
Not only one, but 2 people have been fired from a completely volunteer job.
Well, one didn't get fired. She kind of is doing her motherly duties right now. So back eventually.
Raising the spawn of Chuckles. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the duty in itself.
But the other one was fired.
Right.
Yeah. You do that no call, no show thing once with me, and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a job. This is a vocation.
Yeah, it's to have fun.
Well, it's fun, but it's also, I mean, this is in service to the dark gods, if you want to look at it in a little bit more serious light. I mean, it's fun, but it's serious fun. We don't want some idiot, and I can still picture him there in that chair. Even though he's not there, I can still picture him there.
The odor is still there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want somebody taking this lightly. I mean, I'm a person who has devoted countless hours of my life to ridiculous and insane subjects, from the Japanese kaiju monsters to the spawns of Satan to I don't know, take your pick.
Not a big fan of furry Bigfoot-like monsters, though.
Bigfoot-like monsters, because I think that we're discussing the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot, no. I mean, there is no Bigfoot. The closest you get to a Bigfoot is one of those mountain guys, that chops down the trees, and he's really got a lot of hair on him, and he goes to take a shower. He goes to take a bath naked in a mountain stream.
Yeah.
Terrifies a couple of tourists that are camping there for the night.
Or it's Tony Jones after a drinking bender.
So to say, that sounds like a good time.
Getting lost in the woods.
I think that's what we call, for me, Thursday night in Wickford.
Accidentally pissing on someone's tent.
Yes, there are creatures with big feet walking around in the North Woods. But as far as an alternate species of anthropoid or an alternate species of ape or human or whatever, no. I think that's completely debunked. I mean, it really is. I mean, in an age of Google where where you can look at a 3-foot square patch of your own backyard by satellite, come on.
Well,
really.
take what you're saying there. The same could be said for this creature here.
No, because we're talking swamp here.
Yeah.
Think about it. All the swamp has to be is like 6 feet deep. I mean, this creature, it could live in like alligators, right? Like alligators in the Florida Everglades. Now, they don't usually live on the surface of the ground. They live in burrows. They live in tunnels. I mean, alligators and creatures like that, mostly they're out of sight.
Out of sight, out of mind.
In the pools of the swamp, in the like I say, in the burrows.
Even on the golf courses, I mean, you have a big open area, and nobody sees this alligator or crocodile until the guy goes for his ball and loses a hand.
Right, hiding in plain sight. Yeah, the crocodile is the alligator is kind of like big and kind of well fed and lazy and sloppy, which resembles most golfers. So, I mean, most golfers over 50. I mean, they resemble your basic, passive laying like a beached whale alligator on the green.
Whale-alligator.
Right.
I just came up with an idea for a movie.
I'm selling that to sci-fi.
Whale-alligator.
Right. So my point being, though, that unlike a Bigfoot, it's perfectly possible for some kind of reptilian, crawly, human-sized thing to live in all those square miles of the Jersey Devil habitat.
Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
It definitely could. Well, I could see it. Now, I was telling you earlier about some of these horrific incidents that's happened.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is one of the, myths or cryptozoology animals that when you go to try to find out if it exists, there's a 50-50 shot you're not coming home.
Mm.
Is it the woods that people are getting lost in with the muck? Or is this creature actually, or person, whatever it is, murdering these people before they get out of there?
Yeah, I mean, and you got all the swamps, and I mean that's like Sherlock Holmes, the fictional detective always said, you look for when you go for the obvious first.
Right.
I think he was one that said just the simplest solution is probably the answer. So yeah, I mean, yeah, square mile upon square mile of swamp with mire and quicksand. Yeah, basic serial killer. Hopefully mutated or deformed, because there's just nothing gets there's nothing better than a deformed or a mutated serial killer. I mean, the ones that look perfectly charming, they have their place.
Like Norman Bates.
Yeah, like the Norman Bates type. Yeah,
Yeah.
like friendly, harmless, and charming. Right, the Norman Bates. in a way, that's scary, right? Because, I mean, you could be talking to, a Norman Bates anytime in everyday life. But I just have a warm spot in my heart
For the monster type.
For the monster type.
Yeah, they are
Yeah, the
cooler.
leather faces and the,
They make better movie subjects and book subjects, and they tend to catch more people's eyes. Now, one of the other things I was getting to is about when they go looking for these bodies that have disappeared, they don't find them.
Well, yeah, because, again, go ahead. But
And there has been animals, not so much humans, that were horrendously mauled in this area. And I'm not sure, but if I'm wrong, let me know, guys, but there's not too many large apex predators in that area.
no, there wouldn't be because of the nature of the terrain.
Right. So something like that to mutilate a large animal like a deer to the point where it is that the killer or is that the creature?
It can be. Actually, I go back to remember The Hills Have Eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, don't underestimate.
So you're saying that
No, I'm not saying it has to be that.
it's a warning symbol. Like you see this and you're like, well, maybe I should turn around and go back and not look for this thing.
Well, yeah, you see that and you realize that somebody or something had nothing better to do than walk around at night with an edged weapon and disembowel large animals.
Yep.
Now, when you see that, chances are, unless you are thoroughly armed, know how to instinctively avoid deep pools of quicksand, have plenty of off bug repellent. Because I'll tell you, this area gets, it'd be like, like some of the Vietnam veterans say, like, out in the jungles of Vietnam. I mean, this environment in the hot summer months is hostile.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's Mother Nature.
yeah, and Mother Nature with a nice overlay of psychotic inbred killers, at the very least.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, let's go. And again, I don't make these segues up; they just happen. Let's go back to the music. Expendable Youth. Here, Slayer. Here on the Haunted Cabaret in Rhode Island Free Radio. All right, that was Slayer, Expendable Youth. This is the Haunted Cabaret, and we are discussing the Jersey Devil. And there's this. You can bring up some pictures of it. Photoshop doctored pictures of it. You can bring up some drawings of it. Obviously, just like anything else, nobody's ever seen it. Conclusively. What is it? Like I say, the theory that yours truly is going on this show is that it's of human origin, but rest assured, a very sick, demented, probably deformed, and thoroughly repulsive human. So it's not your typical hunter in the woods with a machete. That's my best shot at it, Chuckles, is somebody that maybe has studied mythology, and Satanism, and the history of the serial killers, and also, like I started to bring up during the music, but then we said, oh, wait a minute, because this is a good point, so mention it on the show. Concealment tactics. In other words, picture somebody. You can go all the way back to the old, the Japanese ninjas, or even in Vietnam, like the soldiers, the American soldiers that were there can tell you about the art of concealment of those guerrilla fighters. Even I'm sure some of our special forces can show you how to disappear. Completely disappear from sight and surveillance. In a terrain like the New Jersey forest. Woods, swamp, pools, deep layers of leaves. A psychotic human or group of humans will have no trouble, believe me, hiding themselves in that environment.
Right.
And now, as far as you mentioned the mutilated animals, now you come to the conclusion that the mutilated animals were a warning, right? My thought is, hey, maybe it's a come on, right? Because if there's no proof of some kind of creature, or there's no proof of a myth, after a certain length of time, what happens? Interest dies down, right? Interest dies out. So it seems to me that if you have animals mutilated and left within, because this is hundreds of square miles of this environment. So if there's large animals mutilated close enough to human habitation to be found, they're there for a reason. And that's to keep up interest so that every now and then some dimwit, and Tony can yell, nerds at this point, thinks that they're going to walk into the woods with a flashlight and a camera and photograph the demonic Jersey Devil.
Well, I'm going to be that dimwit one of these days, and you're going to be next to me.
No, I'm not.
Because we're taking that road trip together.
How about this? George and I will drop you off. We'll head down to the Jersey Shore. We'll hit Atlantic City.
Right.
And we'll grab you on the way back.
Yeah, we'll identify your remains.
Don't have to worry about that, because clowns in the woods, we get along well. Trust me. Ask those boys down in South Carolina. I'll be welcomed in with open heart, and then they'll show me the Jersey Devil. Like, yeah, it does exist. It's my pet right over here.
Yeah, we'll see. Something tells me that, based on what I just said, that the victims of whatever's down there don't even see it coming.
I'm surprised those unscrupulous capitalists in New Jersey haven't started a Jersey Devil slot machine in Atlantic City.
No, actually what happens is when you Welsh on your bets in Atlantic City, you get to go become personally acquainted with whatever is out there.
Instead of getting left in the desert, you get left in the woods.
In the woods, exactly.
Yeah. I think I'll take the desert for $500, please. Yeah, I don't know. I usually try staying a skeptic, but part of me wants to think that this figment of imagination, whatever you call it, exists.
Well, like I said, I just gave you a perfectly legitimate way that it could.
I'm thinking of it as if it's an actual demon. I mean, maybe it's a demon's form, because demons never really have any forms themselves.
They take form.
Maybe this demon successfully took this form of this infant And, because demons don't have any such body, and they possess all these other creatures that are around them, because they can possess animals as well, that after a certain amount of time, that human shell, which was cradling it, couldn't sustain the fact that the demon's materialistic part was of all different origins.
Right, but keep in mind, though, that what usually happens in cases of traditional possession is that the demon's objective is to first, humiliate the human and then destroy it.
Well, it's definitely
in other
destroyed.
Words, right, in other words, if a demon destroys its human host, then it becomes disembodied again.
Well,
it has to find another one.
And which would explain why it's left so long, because, this next group of idiots comes down, boom, the demon attaches to that, and the form's here again. That would explain why it's still here 300 years later, because demons don't have...
Right, it just goes from human to human.
To human, and it may be using part of what you said, the bodies of the mutilated animals to take the stupid people, and that say, ooh, maybe it is a real demon. And you go down there and your snacks.
Yeah, which leads me, I think I've said this before to a couple of people. It seems like there's a lot of interest these days in demonology. And I think our own Chuckles the Clown has mentioned this stupid idea, if you will, wanting to investigate demons. Now, and I've said to Chuckles, and I've said to some other idiot that I met up in the backwoods of Connecticut, I forget his name, but he's just an idiot, is that, I want to study demonology. I want to be a demonologist. And no clue. He read about it in a Stephen King book. There's only two outcomes messing with demons. One, if they're not real, if there's no such thing from the skeptical point of view, you just make an ass of yourself, or a lot of money if your name is Ed Warren. On the other hand, even if there's no such thing, just like messing with Ouija boards and everything else, it's bad psychologically. You can drive yourself insane.
And for some of us, that's a short drive.
A very, very short ride. Yes.
I don't know. A good friend of ours, Mr. Keith Johnson, has done it successfully without...
No, I'm not... Now, the other thing is, if there is such a thing, right, if you do it, like I told this idiot in Connecticut, if you do it just for fun, or you do it just out of curiosity, you are soon going to resemble one of those animals down in the Jersey Devil's Realm, torn to shreds. That's what happens to you. Given that it's real, right, for the sake of argument that it's real, the only way that you can be a successful living demonologist is, first, you have to deeply study the rules. Second, you have to have what I said to him was a pure purpose in doing it. Right. In other words, your motive has to be to help people. That's the only way you survive.
Like Keith.
If Keith's purpose is to help people, that's the only way you survive contact with demonic forces. If you do it for any other reason, and I know, and you as an evil clown will do it for fun, we will be picking your remains up piece by piece from our own little swamp out in the back of the facility here, if you are not careful. So that's my point. In other words, it can be done, but you have to have the right motivations. And I question whether anybody here would have the urge to help people or just look at the cool monsters.
I would
See,
just look at the cool monsters.
Right. I am smart enough to distance myself from this whole subject because, I wouldn't want to be helping anybody. I'd just be looking, ooh, it's got 3 heads.
They'd be trying to pull out your phone to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're it.
Right.
It's either eating you or you become the next demon.
Yeah, or get it to be on the Cretan Three's next recording or something. Yeah. Yes, I cannot. I am not as pure of heart to be able to do this safely. So I am refraining from any such thing.
I guess I got to have either no heart or, I'm not saying this, I have some sort of pure heart because I have been on an investigation that later on we found out had demonic aspects of it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know going into this that I was researching anything demonic. I thought I was going into a house that was haunted, but it had all the characteristics of a demonic haunting. Smells, growls. I survived it. So unless my soul's just that evil and the demon's like, hey, there's no room for me to get inside of there. Or there might be just no, there's not any good human sympathy in me.
No,
Nah.
or you could, or it, it's very easy, as Keith will tell you, Keith Johnson, the demonologist, will tell you himself. It's very easy to mix up hauntings.
Yeah.
I mean, to mix up a ghost haunting with a demon or a demon with a ghost. It's very easy to do that. And here's another, and actually, let's go back to the music. Here's another explanation for this whole situation. This is Somebody Put Something in My Drink by the Ramones here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio.
Somebody put something in my drink. Somebody. Another night out on the streets, stopping for my usual seats. A bartender, please. Tankery and tonics, my favorite drink. I don't like anything colored pink. That just stinks. It's not for me. It feels like somebody put something in my drink. Somebody put something. Blurred vision and dirty thoughts. In a fearsome, very distraught. Feel something coming on. Yeah, I kick the jukebox, slam the floor. Drink some more. I can't think. Hey, what's in that drink? It feels like somebody put something in my drink. 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 In my drink. In my drink. In my drink.
All right, that was, of course, the Ramones here on the Haunted Cabaret. And, we are talking about the Jersey Devil, which has obviously led into discussion about all kinds of things devilish, possession, and, demonic manifestations. This thing of demonic manifestation. I mean, I'll tell you, I think, let me lead to it this way, indirectly. Okay, I just read this book about the Holocaust, the Nazi Holocaust of the Jews. And I'll tell you, it was called Holocaust, A New History. And some of the stuff in this book, it's like it's easy to say you couldn't make this stuff up. In other words, the most diabolical stuff has been done by humans.
Two humans.
Yep.
Yep.
In other words, when you got, like Nazi stormtroopers, picking up babies and throwing them in bonfires, you can't beat that. That's why when we say, is it human or is it demonic, when we're talking about mutilations, when we're talking about killings, when we're talking about, deranged stuff. I mean, I don't have to go as far as demons. I mean, everything we're talking about here with the Jersey Devil, everything no, I'm not saying is,
right.
Again, keeping an open mind, but all I'm saying is that humans are responsible for the most hideous, awful, delightful, if you go down that road, atrocities that can be thought of. I mean, if it's hideous, humans have thought of it and they've done it. So, I'm saying? So this Jersey Devil thing, that's my, like I said, we've discussed a lot of different things. That's still my verdict on the subject.
It's a killer.
It's a killer or group of killers.
But the end of the story is, either way, if it's a demon or a killer, you will not go looking for this Jersey Devil.
No, we're going to let you do it. And
Okay.
then Tony and I are going to, meet at the rendezvous point. When you don't show up, we're going to go in with the proper amount of authority and weaponry, find your pieces, and videotape the remains.
See, that's the only thing that gets me.
And then use it probably for the cover of our new CD.
And yeah, we'll find some way to make money off of that
just
too.
use
so we
my
can get paid.
mutilated red nose as your cover photo. Just
Oh
put
yeah,
that up there.
if you will do us the favor of being murdered in clown getup.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to. I got to do it in clown get up. That way I can, it doesn't eat me because I taste funny. You're not the only one that uses corny jokes on your radio show.
No, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then the other thing is the movie rights, right? Because I can see the promos now, worse than clown. In other words, I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but
Chuckles
the idea
versus
is
Jersey Devil.
Well, the idea is that clowns are pretty scary in their own right? But what is so evil and scary that it can dismember an evil clown?
Now hold that thought right there, because you just came up with like an awesome verses.
Yes, I
I
just did.
You know how they did like werewolves versus vampires, and vampires versus zombies. You have evil clowns versus Jersey Devil. Boom. That would be an awesome story to write. We got to do it. Get on there. Get this stuff copywritten. Send this episode out. Poor man, air it to me, please, in a package so we can copyright it.
Yep. Then we get the video, and then we get the cameras rolling, and we come up with clown versus Jersey Devil.
Now, this leads me to that point where you're saying it's a killer.
Uh-huh.
If this is a killer in modern day and age, there hasn't been too many murders reported, disappearances.
that
yes.
we know of.
Why hasn't the authority done what you just said? Said, screw this. We're going through those woods with a flamethrower, and we're torching every bit of this until something pops up.
Oh, well, two reasons. One is that these murders are of basically unimportant jerk-off goofs that wander into the woods by themselves with flashlights and cameras. And, what police officer or investigative team wants to go tramping through miles of swamp and bug-infested forest to look for some idiot, that went to his doom with a flashlight and a camera?
None until that idiot is
the
son or daughter.
Well, right. The other thing is, if whatever this secret is, if you're the tourism industry in New Jersey, why do you want to find it?
Yeah.
True.
I mean, come on, think of it. Like you sacrifice a few worthless white trash, right? And you have an ongoing legend and mystery, popular the country and the world over.
Again, I bring it back to Salem. I mean, look how offensive it is, the fact that Salem's a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a Chuckles Crypt on the real Salem. I'll be banned from Salem, Mass, but
You mean debunk all the
Yeah.
bullshit of Salem?
But
What we
have
can
to
do?
it.
Well, you can do a Chuckles Crypt on debunking Salem, and then we can do a haunted cabaret on Salem Village, which is now called Danvers,
that sounds like a
which
good
is
idea.
where
for,
the actual executions all took place.
sounds like a good idea for Halloween. We'll have
Yeah.
to write that down.
I think we should do a live broadcast from Salem.
Yeah, and get chased out with torches as we're debunking.
Probably
it.
not on that subject. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
the Chamber of Commerce will come down and kick our asses.
Yeah. Or I know that I believe that in Danvers, which is the renamed, and this is how you know it's the real place because
Yeah, there was Salem Town and Salem Village.
right, and Salem Village is where it took place, and they renamed their town
Because they didn't want the
stigma.
They
of,
wanted to get
this
paid.
is really where it happened. But I believe that there are still some, not as well publicized, but I think there are still some houses of the victims in Salem Village that's still standing.
There's one that's standing up there that I can think of off mine where said victims of Salem witchcraft trial, they may have taken the bodies and buried them over in this unmarked area.
Uh-huh.
So they have a headstone for one and a headstone for the other.
Right, so we'll be much better off, doing a real.
They have, we'd have to see how much it costs, but when they did the movie,
We're not digging these things up.
no. When they did the Salem witchcraft movie, it was a couple of years back
Right.
ago when it was a big thing, they rebuilt the trial courthouse on the property of one of the one of the witch victims,
Right.
which is almost like a slap in the face that they did that. But they built it right there, and I think they rent that out.
Also, it's not just a movie prop; it's still there.
It's still there. So it's like a documented historical thing of the courthouse. Of course, when you go to Salem, they say the courthouse is down the cobblestone until you go over to see the date of the courthouse, which says 1835. And then you look back and you say, well, if I did my history right, the Salem witchcraft trials took place in the 1690s.
Yeah, well, I think the current Salem tourist trade is depending on the incompetence of the American educational system.
Oh, the best thing in a good story for the haunted cabaret.
By the way, Tony, how are we doing for time?
Which, by the way, they actually bring you to Salem. I know,
Yeah.
we went there as school field trips. We have about 20 minutes left altogether.
All right, good. All right, let's go back to the music, and let's sing. Let's play some blues. That'll be different. Yeah, let's do a little Albert King, "Oh Pretty Woman," here on the Haunted Cabaret, Rhode Island Free Radio.
Oh, pretty woman, sugar, rising sun says on you. Cheap paint and powder ain't gon' help you none, 'cause she's a pretty woman right down to the bone. So you just might as well still leave your skin alone. Pretty woman, what's the matter with you? Can't make you love me no matter what I do. Oh, pretty woman, what you try to do? You kept on fooling around till I got stuck on you. So you just drop that mess and come down off your throne. Stop using my full heart for just a stepping stone. Pretty woman, what's the matter with you? Can't make you love me no matter what I do. Oh, pretty woman. Oh, pretty woman, that's all right for you. Now you just go on doing what you want to do. But someday, when you think that you have got it made, you can't help water deep in love, so you can't wait. Pretty woman, what's the matter with you? what I do. Oh, pretty woman.
All right, that was just a little bit of blues for the Haunted Cabaret.
The Devil's Music Blues.
The Devil's music.
Yep.
Yep.
The original Devil's music.
Absolutely. And we are discussing the Jersey Devil, other devils, demons, anything demonic, basically. Anything that comes to mind.
Fun.
Fun, and as well as the bowels of human behavior, which, like I said, I think is responsible for a lot of so-called demonic activity, really, when you come right down to it. Actually, I think, back in the day, a skeptic, scholarly approach says that demons were invented to excuse the behavior of really slutty women and really horny as a two-dick dog men. Because back in the Middle Ages.
Nowadays, we elect them president.
Well, yes, we do. But it was a different story back in the middle. Well, actually, demonology does go back before the Middle Ages. But the market was basically cornered on it back in the days of the Inquisition, back in the days when the church was the state. That like after the fall of the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire merged with the Catholic Church, and it was basically one entity. The state was the church was the state. So back in the day, if you were caught, let's say, being pregnant out of wedlock, it was really bad because you were either ostracized from your community, killed, tortured. Nothing good came of being a single woman who was pregnant, like back in these days. So I think what they came up with is, I was raped by a demon. Now, because obviously you're a human being, if a demon attacks you and holds you down, you're not going to escape from a demon. Just like now it's morphed from demon attacks and demon rape. Nowadays it's the little men in black with the big eyes have violated me and made me pregnant. See, we change with the times.
No wonder why demons are pissed. We were using them as scapegoats.
There you go.
They're sitting back there going like, we didn't score. And you're blaming me? Now I'm going to score. I'm going to take over all you guys and mutilate you.
But that's it. That's when demonology really came into the forefront of conscious thought, was in the Middle Ages. For example,
stupid incest royalty, ruining demonic religions and all that racist.
Well, speaking of demonic religion, another thing that's not so well known, except it's known here in the Haunted Cabaret and elsewhere, is that the Black Mass. The Black Mass was actually invented by the Catholic Church. True fact. Before the church codified, in other words, they set down the requirements, they set down the characteristics of a satanic mass. Before that, it was just basically a bunch of goofballs, running around and, drinking blood, like maybe killing goats. In other words, there was no uniform way to worship Satan.
Right.
Until, the church authorities said, because you're always looking for an enemy, right? Just like the Trump administration is demonizing illegal immigrants, just like the Nazis demonized Jews, just like you get the idea. And so the church needed, the enemy, they wanted to really emphasize how dangerous this enemy was. So that's when they came up with the rules for having a black mass and wrote them down. And then, the devil worshippers said, oh, this is how you do it.
Thanks for the instruction booklet.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. And then everybody was happy because the devil worshippers had a black mass, and the church authorities had evil devil worshippers to combat. kind of like, actually it reminds me more of this war on drugs. Make up all these rules against marijuana, heroin, and cocaine, right? And now you have an enemy, for all these, law enforcement people to go after. Same thing. So yes, so either to a skeptic, that's, the origin of demonology. To a believer, yes, Chuckles, your friends, the demons, have been scapegoated almost through all of history. And that is a sad thing.
It is. That's almost like that's being prejudiced.
It is. Demon lives matter.
Yeah, I'm making that shirt. Demon lives matter. You're discriminating and you're being prejudiced towards the demons.
Right.
What did they do to you besides possessing you?
Right, and mutilate you and kill you.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what they're supposed to do.
And you deserve it because your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother blamed them for raping her on top of a horse one night in the woods of England.
Yeah.
There brings you back to the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Which brings us in full circle, yes. Because Chuckles, you would mention on your show. I don't know if we mentioned it on the Cabaret, but that is one of the origins of the Jersey Devil. Just reiterate that really quick.
What's that?
The origin of the Jersey Devil, the demonic one?
Mrs. Lead, Deborah Lead, had 13 children.
Uh-huh.
The 13th one she had cursed, and supposedly Satan himself had bred with her to give her this
creature.
Okay.
I can't believe it took her 4 other kids to get to that point. 12 other kids to get to that point.
Yeah.
Well, no, once she had the 12 kids, she said, I am cursed by Satan already.
Yeah, she blamed the devil for that one.
Yeah, I am cursed with eternal pregnancy.
Not her husband in the whiskey bottle. She blamed the devil.
Well, the devil has taken the form of my husband and led me astray with whiskey. Or something along those lines.
13 times.
Right. Just like, like the alien... I literally, this was a great one. Back in the days of the, Weekly World News, the lamented tabloid. I think it's still online. What's that? The Weekly World News tabloid. I think it's still online, but it's greatly reduced. I know it's not what it used to be. But yeah, there was a story about a Midwestern farm girl, and they're always Midwestern. Like the only interplay between humans and aliens are in the American Midwest for some reason. And yes, but apparently this girl, got out of trouble with her parents by claiming that an alien who looked just like her boyfriend impregnated her.
Oh,
Yeah. So they're still doing it. The demons now are disguising themselves as space aliens.
Darn those space aliens.
They're just demons.
Some of those Midwest chicks are hot and they can handle their whiskey. If I was an alien, that's probably why I'd go there too. I don't want to deal with the stuck-up northern New England girls or the southern beach bunnies.
But you think that, so what you're telling me is that our Midwestern farm girls are the most sexually attractive to aliens of any in the world?
Yeah, I think so. And they're
Wow.
they're not as stuck up. Let's just put it that way. They're friendlier.
Yeah, they're willing to get right down there in the mud of the sty with them.
Yep, they're friendlier girls than our girls over here.
Or any other countries.
Yeah.
Because we don't hear about these things in Russia or China or the Middle East or South America. Nowhere. Just, wow. I'll tell you, and America's looking to be great again. If we have the most appealing to extraterrestrial women in the world, shouldn't that be made more of?
Hey, I remember this one young lady on a haunted trip, let's put it that way. We called her Idaho. She was only 18 years old. She put down more beer than 5 of the guys on that bus. That was very attractive to me.
Because she's probably been drinking since she's 12 years old.
All I can think of is
built up a tolerance.
Is that song, I Think I Love You, every time I saw her downing another 12-pack.
Okay, so
Until you marry her and you have to pay her beer bill.
Yeah. You're going to Toozy's Beers. I'll kill you.
Okay, we're going to dedicate this next song to her. Okay. We're going to do, speaking of satanic, we're going to do
I think, we'll be going to our last tune on this.
Okay, this is going to be it?
Yeah.
All right, then. All right, we've been discussing the devil and all things satanic, Jersey Devil, all kinds of devils. and a drunken Midwestern farm girl who can drink the clown under the table. God bless both of them. All right.
Proud to be an American.
Proud to be making America great again. One pint at a time. Okay, we're going out with Judgment of the Bleeding Crown by my favorite metal band, Goat Whore, here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. Nighty night.
Fading away.